Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to episode number 125. You know what sucks? Pete Verra, senior BOF contributor. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
What sucks about getting into these triple digits with these podcasts, especially this one, because it's the only one the one I host, is I can't compare to like the number of the number of the show's episode to some sports number.
Yep, it just stops at 99.
Yeah, it's it. So something's got to give here. I guess we need to petition the professional leagues to have triple digit numbers.
I don't even want them to have sponsors on the jerseys, and you want them to add more numbers on the back.
No, I'm not a fan of that either. I see it on the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's starting to
A
turn
lot.
into NASCAR. Actually, well, they got to turn into they look more like the Japanese league now because they've got a lot of sponsorship all over. But they don't even have Japanese baseball doesn't even represent city names. They're actually represented by the people who own them.
Oh,
So it's not the
okay.
Tokyo Giants, it's the Yomiuri Giants because the Yomiuri Corporation owns them. So it's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'm Bill Ramey, by the way, in case you didn't know. I'm the founder of Batman on Film, and I'm back with another social hour. This is the BOF Social Hour, where it's my little show on Batman on Film, where we talk about whatever the hell we want to, mostly Batman stuff. So, but it's always time for witty banter. Have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
No.
Are you going to see Oppenheimer?
Probably this weekend at some point if I can fit it in.
Okay, so you have interest in seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's a
No
Chris
interest
Nolan
in-
movie? Is that the main reason, or?
Yeah, like there's still a little bit of like love towards Nolan because of what he gave us. But you know, it's Nolan movies still kind of feel like events. Like people kind of get geared up for Nolan movies, unlike anybody
I
else.
was going to say that yes, they do. That he is a filmmaker now, and he might have been before, that people will turn out to see one of his movies because he's the director. Because I mean, you take Oppenheimer. I mean, when he first announced it, I was like, "Can do a biopic of the guy who, created the first atomic bomb," and it's going to be a July. It's in that Dark Knight Rises sweet spot release weekend, and amongst blockbusters and I said, "It's going to be a real test." Well, it passed the test. I mean, it made R-rated and then it's R-rated on top of that.
Nolan is almost a brand in his own, like people get
he is.
The MCU, it doesn't matter what they put out, people go see it. So you can kind of say the same thing about Nolan. And it's funny because there's a lot of people who don't like him. Like I know Eric doesn't like Nolan. He's got some kind of
is that for real, or is that just a bit that was you were doing?
It's 50-50. Like Eric, he definitely doesn't like, he's like, Nolan's like the smartest guy in the room, or he thinks he is, and it's like, well, yeah, he kind of is. you're just jealous. I don't know. Like it's a weird take, but Twitter's filled with them. But Nolan's that big. He's able to have haters. He's able to have irrational haters. He's just he makes event movies, and there's no doubt about it. That's why I say Nolan's at this moment the best director in Hollywood, because people just get geared up for his films.
I saw it last Saturday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and the auditorium was packed. packed. I mean, maybe a few seats way up the front were available. That was it. And I saw a lot of people doing the Barbenheimer thing as well.
Oh, God. I have no desire to see Barbie at all. I have no desire.
Micah Ramey saw it and loved it
He was trying to get me to see it. I was like,
and said, "You got to see it." I am going to go see it. I'll take the announcer. But it wasn't like I was going to go to the press screening, but it was when both Oppenheimer and Barbie screened when I was in Las Vegas, so I had to miss. But yeah, I liked Oppenheimer a lot. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. Very Chris Nolan movie. Very Chris Nolan movie. Has all his trademarks.
It's just funny because I'm just like, there's going to be a lot of talking in this movie.
There is a lot of talking in the movie.
There's not going to be a whole lot of action here.
But I mean,
Eric gave it a review on Straight Outta Gotham, so I do want to see it. And
what
I'll
did he
check it out
say?
at some point.
I missed it.
I believe he liked it. He wasn't like blown away, I think, but he enjoyed it for the most part. So
it is.
I don't know what to expect from a movie like that. I just don't.
Well,
based on true events, already know the outcome. It seems like it's kind of
what
dry.
It's almost, it's almost like, you know what you expect from a biopic. They're linear and there's a timeline and it just hits the, very, it's kind of like Elvis with Baz Luhrmann, where he kind of took the biopic and spun it on its heels and did something a little different. I say Nolan did the same thing here because it's got the non-linear, it's very, like I said, it's very Nolan with the non-linear and those quick flashbacks to certain, when someone's talking and that all the Nolan trademarks. There's even kind of it's even a little bit of a twist, a surprise sort of at the end, which is hard to do when you're making a movie based on a historical fact, So anyway, I recommend.
Where does it fall on your Nolan list?
Oh, it's up there with I like Interstellar, not Interstellar. I'm sorry. Inception the most after the Dark Knight trilogy. And it's probably behind it. And I like the only Nolan film that I'm kind of on is Interstellar. That's because I didn't get it. I didn't get it, man.
That's what everyone says about Tenet. They didn't get
Tenet. Yeah. Tenet I like, but the whole time I'm watching, I'm going, I don't have no idea what's going on except, things are happening
I have to see
forward and
Tenet.
back
I
at
haven't
the same
seen it.
time. So
my favorite Nolan movie outside of his Batman work still is The Prestige.
I like every.
I think that gets lost a lot now these days.
It does.
Like people forget about it.
That's a good one. Real good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, and one that gets lost is I think Insomnia is really damn good. I love that,
and that's
really
the whole
like
reason
Insomnia.
he got his Batman gig.
Yeah,
basically, it's the movie that started it all.
So
oh my god, back in the day, remember those days?
Yeah.
Oh, back in the day when the worst thing about Batman was Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, I am.
That's what we argued about.
That's the good. That was the good old days. I'm still a Nolanite. I wrote him. Hey, I went old school. I wrote him a letter on a stationery. Him and Emma Thomas, his wife, his producer,
Oppenheimer.
And I told him how much I enjoyed Oppenheimer, and congratulated them because I can see this one getting some awards. I mean, there's some really good performances. Cillian Murphy
between this and Barbie, it's like saved the box office this summer.
Yeah, they kicked ass. The Barbenheimer phenomenon was real.
Those two movies had a great weekend.
Is it hot up there?
It's all right. Like a couple of days, it can get really, really hot. We actually had a couple of days of rain, so it cooled everything down.
Okay.
We had a couple. We were running in the hundreds for a couple of days in a row.
Okay.
And then we got a couple of days of rain, and now we're just kind of like in the 90s, I think. But it's still nice it's nice weather.
Okay. We're on a string of it's like 103, 104, and this doesn't end Come on now. Come on,
That's
fall.
that's
Get
nice
here.
for you though, considering that Vegas weather that you weren't prepared for.
Yeah, I said in the mailbag, I went to Vegas and I went, "Hey, I'm from Texas. Show me this 116." And Vegas, Vegas weather said, "Hold my beer, Texan. Let me show you something here." And it was hot. It was hot, hot, and that's
Really?
saying a lot coming from me. So, speaking of
Did you
hot
check out
stuff, huh?
the Raiders stadium?
I saw it. I drove by. We drove by it on the way to and from the airport.
Does
Looks
it
like a
look bigger than
big
Jerry World? Is
no,
it bigger?
no, no,
No, really?
no, no,
Because I've seen
no.
Jerry World in person. Obviously, it's been a
Yeah.
few years, but I've seen it. It's a monstrous building. It's
Yes.
a monstrous building.
No,
So
it's not close. It's
wow.
looks like a big black Roomba.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear it. I mean, it looks cool. It's black. Looks like a Roomba. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna start vacuuming Las Vegas Strip or something.
What's it called? MetLife Stadium looks like just I don't know. It looks like a tape deck, just this rectangle of steel
Deck. Okay.
It looks like that old tape deck with the silver front from back in the day.
All right. Speaking of hot, talk about hot weather. You sent me some text with you did some cooking though here lately. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of cooking.
So it hadn't been that hot. You could get out there and smoke brisket and all that stuff.
I'll put an umbrella up. I got the shade. I'm good. Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
temperature it is.
Okay. You told me one time sometimes it's too hot to get out there and fire up a pit and do that.
No, not that it's too hot. The thing I have is I don't like smoking meat in the cold. I don't like trying to make the difference up for the cold weather and everything. It's just that's more
That's
annoying.
the time to do it, right? It's cold and you got the pit going.
No, because
You sit
you
out
got
there
to
and drink some
compensate
beer.
because the weather outside impacts
Yeah.
the heat in the inside. So you have to you got to do a little math. You got to make it a little hotter than normal to try to compensate for that. And then who wants to stand out in the cold and drink? Like, I don't know. I don't want to stand out in the cold and drink.
Well, that's
It's not really-
that's like 50. That's like 45 here.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's
talking like
manageable.
February. It's a little colder.
No, okay, yeah. Let's see what. Oh, I cooked my world famous peanut butter and pepper jelly hamburgers
That sounds really good.
with bacon and
Yeah.
sauteed onions
It sounds nice.
and
There's all pictures.
jalapenos. Yeah, it was good. It was
enjoyed
good.
it.
And then NFL. Yeah, the camps I have open. Training camps are open. So
Is that it? Are the Rangers dead now?
no,
No more Rangers?
I'm still watching the damn Rangers. I got invested this season. They lost 2 out of 3 to the freaking Dodgers, and they lost the first 2 to the garbage can bangers, the Astros. So we can salvage one
Good luck.
tonight. So we'll see. How's your Yankees doing?
Not good. Not good. I'd like
Are they
them
in
to be sellers.
Are
They're on
they
the
in
outside
the
looking in.
Are they in the mix for wild card?
They're like 2 games out of the final spot, which is
Okay, well that means they're still in it, man.
yeah. I mean, you want to say that, but that's a shit spot. That's a fake spot. That's a Manfred spot. That's not real playoff baseball. But yeah. So we'll see. I'm already looking
right.
towards next year.
Let's get to some. Oh, one other thing. Shush is one of the dumbest things I've ever read in my life. I got
Just in time for our Hush episode this week.
Yeah, I've been reading. So
have you been enjoying it?
ready.
It's fun. Have you been enjoying reading it? It's good.
It's
good.
average. It's an average story with fantastic artwork.
This has been a story. This has been a topic I've been wanting to do, cover on Batman on Film for so long. Bill's dislike of Hush, because I just
don't dislike it. I am adamant it is not a Batman classic.
So
it's not a classic Batman.
We're going to talk about it instead of tweet about it. I think it'll be for fun. Just another wonderful topic for the BOF podcast.
All right. Let's get to the topics at hand. All right. So how many times you see the Flash?
In theaters twice.
Okay. Did you get digital?
I already own it, and I've watched it twice at home.
Okay. All right. So did it move the needle move for you?
No, I still like
Anyway?
it the same way. I
Yeah.
still enjoy it.
Okay.
You know, I still, get a huge kick out of seeing Keaton on screen. I still get a huge kick of seeing George at the end. It works for me.
I still like it. I haven't seen it at home yet. I saw it twice at the cinema. I still like Keaton. I was glad it was cool to see him again as Batman. I did write an article on Batman on film. I think, after my thoughts have been, in hindsight, when it's all said and done, it would have been a lot better if they had done a Batman Beyond or some riff off the Dark Knight Returns with Keaton as an Elseworlds film.
This reminds me of the time you said they would have been better off making Man of Steel 2 instead of BVS. Right? Like, it's kind of like the same thing. You should have done this, but you did that because you thought it was the right thing to do at the time. And while neither movie was really well received, I feel like there's a little bit of a parallel there.
I would say The Flash critically was better received than Man of Steel, but
yeah, I'll give you
that. Man of Steel had more people go watch it,
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thought? I mean, we went through the, Keaton. It wasn't just he was coming back for the Flash. He was coming back to be Batman again.
The Nick
Bruce
Fury,
Wayne.
Remember? That's how they described it.
And they were going to, they talked about a Batman Beyond movie, and apparently Christina Hodson, who wrote The Flash and Bumblebee, Birds of Prey too, right? She wrote that.
Birds of Prey, Batgirl.
She wrote a script for Batman Beyond, and then that was shelved after Gunn and Safran took over. Well, really, I guess we can say once Discovery bought Warner Media, and Mr. Zaslav has demanded that they create their MCU.
Well,
Warner Brothers.
One thing is just if it's not what James Gunn had planned, then I understand why it got canceled. Because he's running the show right now. So this was never on his, let's say, project list to begin with. And then what happens at the movie theaters happens. It makes perfect sense to me. Just the combination of those two events, why it hasn't gone forward.
I admit I was dead wrong about how much Keaton's return I thought it'd be a huge draw. And I guess I got my nostalgia, my personal fandom, love of Keaton as Batman, even though I'm not a big, certainly don't love Batman Returns, but I've always loved Keaton as Batman. And I guess that tainted my, my way of thinking. I thought it was I was like going, okay, this will force, the Flash it's going to be a hit, and it's going to kind of, force their hand of doing something else with Keaton. That's over with.
Yeah, I mean, if it made money at the box office, I could see it happening. But
yeah,
even when it was announced, though, I thought the whole Keaton shepherding this Justice League and this multiversal type adventure sounded a little weird to me. It wasn't something that it's something that I would have supported if it was made, and that's what we had. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't make these movies, so therefore I'm just sitting here as a member of the audience. I would have watched it and see where it went, but it was not something that really got me excited, when going forward for this whole shared universe, just because he was significantly older than the rest of the actors involved,
Yeah, that didn't bother me. I could live with that, and I thought it was cool, but I think maybe Warner Brothers, that regime kind of fell for the we'll bring Keaton back. That would be huge,
Because I know this movie was announced. I believe the movie was announced the same time as No Way Home, so it's not like they actually copied the homework. But I think Warner Brothers looked at what No Way Home did, brought back those two Spider-Men, and thought, well, this is the Batman that changed the game. This is a no-brainer. And I think generationally, people kind of aged out of it. Like, I think Toby is part of a generation that is still kind of here and with it. You know, like, I just think the window for Keaton was missed by like 10 years. You know, he was just Batman too long ago. And now it probably would have been better if it was Bale, because that's who people associate as Batman. I think we as fandom probably got caught up in the 89 Keaton stuff a little bit more than we probably should have.
100%. I admit I did. Of course, Bale doing it is a different animal because he won't do it without Nolan and, you know, all of that.
And I get it. And to be honest, after this, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, thank God Nolan stood his ground back in the day, put his foot down, and had the ability to see in the future, you're not listening to me. You're going to screw this up. My trilogy ends with me.
Yeah.
Thank God he did that, because the writing was on the wall and he knew they weren't going to listen to him. You've said it how many times? Just make the best DC movies you can. Don't try to connect it all. And they didn't listen. They wanted their MCU light, and look where it got them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say this. I'm very happy that the trilogy ended. I know some people are upset because they want their action figure Batman. Well, I'd rather have that classic tale than dump out the toy chest.
You're preaching to the choir here. I never second guessed Nolan when you know Rises was going to be it. And it's perfect that way. And it kind of, you know, it's set up what Reeves is doing. It should allow studios to say, we can compartmentalize these characters, and, you know, we can do a trilogy. We can do 4 films with this one character and have it one story, and we can, you know, and then people are used to the reboot. So I just thought it was.
The problem is Warner Brothers is just great. They want their 20 films. They want their 20 years. It's just,
I don't get,
you know what?
You know,
it went. It was a time and it was a special time in the genre.
Yeah.
You can't replicate it. I'm sorry. You can't do it.
No.
Don't even try, because
I don't.
You've tried and you failed already.
I don't get. That's what I don't get. I don't get. Well, I get the reason. We want
money.
The reason's I get money. That. Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor. I just don't think. I mean, I've said, I wrote it. You just said it. We've talked about it before. You've done this. You tried it before. It was a disaster. I should say Marvel, the MCU, Disney, Marvel, you know, Marvel Films did it and was hugely successful. That's teetering the air is going out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit now, you know, and they're eventually going to, I mean, it's going to run out, and they're going to be in a conundrum for what to do going forward. You don't have that problem if you just make good films and you tell the stories, and then you get sequels. If you do a trilogy, whatever, then you can reboot. You don't have that if you're not forcing the shared universe. But yeah, the Keaton thing, it's just, you know, for years they've talked about. There's been, you know, doing a Batman Beyond, doing a Dark Knight Returns with Keaton, you know, a one-off Elseworlds type movie. What would you rather have seen if they had done? Would you rather see a Batman Beyond with Keaton as the older Bruce Wayne, or would you have rather seen like some kind of adaptation of the Dark Knight Returns with Keaton, where it's, you know, it's clearly a one movie where, you know, he's done at the end?
My answer is going to be The Flash. because I really enjoyed that. That's what I got, and I actually got Keaton as Batman. You know, whether if you want to say like Dark coming out of retirement, saving the day, like, he tried to save the day, right? Like it didn't really work out, but to get him back at 70 years old, it really is a treat. It was a treat for us as fans.
It still is. I mean, yes,
you know, and I still enjoy it, but it's just
hypothetical. It's just hypothetical. No Flash, or Keaton's not in the Flash. The Flash is different. They're going to do a solo Batman movie with Keaton, Elseworlds. Would you rather be the Batman Beyond, or would you rather see them do, like I said, some kind of riff off of Dark Knight Returns?
I'll go with Batman Beyond because I just BVS is so close, still not that far away, and that's already a riff on Dark Knight Returns in its own way. So
yeah, but you don't have to have him fighting Superman or anything like that. You just take.
I would say Batman Beyond because I feel like it would complete the story, right? Like we would see the older Keaton, you know, the protege, the mentor aspect. It would probably end up being, if I had to pick one of the two, Batman Beyond.
I get that. You could also, you could end the story with a Dark Knight Returns. You don't have to do the whole Superman and the, 80s Reagan, fascist type military, all that part, but just the premise of something happening in Gotham that makes that retired Batman, this, Michael Keaton Batman return.
Almost sounds like Dark Knight Rises.
That Dark Knight Rises is influenced by there's a little bit of Dark Knight Returns and Rises. Yeah. But you know what? It's a moot point. So all we got now is the Flash to put in and watch. And
I'll take that because digital. I'm just happy. Michael Keaton is a big part of like my childhood. Like Michael Keaton movies were always special to me, mostly because of Batman. Like he was Batman to me. That's how I got introduced to Keaton.
Yeah.
And then after that came, his other movies like Night Shift and then Beetlejuice, obviously, Multiplicity, all that stuff. So like the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed the resurgence of Keaton from No Way Home. Now Beetlejuice 2 is in production. So I thought Keaton was having a bit of a revival. I guess the Flash kind of derailed that, but I'm still enjoying it.
I don't think that is like in the minds of the general audience is like it's no negative on Keaton. There's no stink on Keaton from the Flash. He's kind of unscathed. That's, to me, it's more of like the stink is on the DC on film and people where they're at with DC on film. It's just like dead brand, man.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's the first time that like a Batman has been kind of a focal point, and it's really been, a huge bomb. Like even Batman and Robin, I feel like at least made some money. The Flash didn't make any money.
I mean, Batman and Robin did make a little money. The Flash was one of the biggest bomb in
all time. I mean,
in cinema history. Wow, I would not have believed it.
Which is interesting because, like, I've had a really great summer at the movies. Between The Flash, Transformers, Indiana Jones. I'm going to go see Oppenheimer. Like, I feel like I've seen most of the quote unquote tentpole movies. Yeah, and I've enjoyed all of them. And I feel like I'm in the huge minority. Not a lot of people are going to movie theaters or they're wisely spending their money, I guess. And I'm really shocked. Like, is there just that much more forms of entertainment out there, or are people just not spending their money, or are they just waiting for something unique, like something like Barbie? Like, has Barbie ever had like a movie or anything before? This is like the first time.
I mean, nothing like this. Yeah. You're right. I mean, they want something unique, or something they've already invested in. I
guess, unless they're like, oh, I've already seen Michael Keaton in Batman in a Batman movie twice. I don't even see him in a Flash movie. I don't know.
I was a Keaton fan before Batman, way before Batman. I found him with Night Shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything started with Batman for me, and then I would retroactively read.
I was senior in high school. I was either senior in high school in 1984, or a freshman in college. I don't remember when Night Shift came out, but it was that year, and I saw it. Still one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite Michael Keaton movies. It's right there with Batman '89.
It's like I stumbled upon it because it was Keaton and Winkler, and I'm like, this seems like a really interesting combination as I look at the cast list. So that's what really attracted me to that movie back when I was kind of discovering it.
That was his breakout right there. It
was one of his first ones. Okay.
Yeah. That's still Barney Rubble. What an actor. It's a great movie. All right. Yeah. Keaton will have the Flash. And if we want to see him again, that's what we got to watch, the Flash.
I've got 2 other movies as well. Like I'm not really complaining. Like,
well, yeah,
it's a kind of a gift. Like, if you want to make it's the wrong Batman to have in this movie, that's an argument you can have. But for me, it was just, icing on the cake. Like I never expected him to come back. I never thought he would come back in any way. Like I just thought the time had passed. So
yeah,
I'll take this and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame that other people haven't.
What did you think about Andy Muschietti saying that he retired because he accidentally killed a villain, a bad guy, in front of the bad guy's kid?
I'm thankfully they took that out. Like that was not in the movie. He could say it in any special features he wants, but my head canon is not going to give in on that one. It does kind of, because I pay attention to a lot of this content, it makes me think of how tied in this multiverse stuff really was. Because if you go back to the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they show Robert Wall, I believe there's like a newspaper clipping of Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, and it's, Keaton marries Kyle. So I'm very curious, is this was that Keaton's universe? Is this Damian Wayne or something like that? Is it that version of Keaton? Because I don't think this is the version from Returns. I think this is some sort of combination of events that just kind of populated when timelines clashed.
So in the Flash, I don't think that. Yeah. I don't look at it as completely that Burton verse Batman.
I see bits of Burton, I see bits of Nolan, I see
Batman Return, and because when you jack with the timeline and reality, you get,
and then you see it at the end. You see like the green orb fall into the blue orb, and that kind of makes one new place. Like that's what I think. Like I've gotten actually into many. I won't say I've gotten to many arguments about it, but I've just opened like, hey, I like the Flash, and then people respond with, well, I don't like this, and this is a corporate amalgamation of Keaton's Batman. It's not really him. I can't watch this. And I'm like, you are really thinking a little.
Okay, where's this take place at this discussion?
Oh, this is on Twitter. This is on Twitter.
Oh, yeah,
with someone who has like
X.
a legit.
It's X now.
Yeah. Oh, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey's former website.
I'm trying to leave that. I'm on this threads. I hope that threads takes off.
Until Twitter makes you pay for it, no one's going to stop using it.
Yeah.
But first of all, I don't like it. The killing of the kid thing. It doesn't. I know if you want to critique Keaton's Batman for killing people in the past, go right ahead.
He did kill people, so.
He did, but I don't think he would do it in front of a kid. That seems like a bit of a stretch from comparing.
Wasn't it kind of
throwing the fat man down the manhole?
He did it by accident, and the kid was there. He didn't know. I mean, you can, but it had enough impact on him, made him quit. So whatever.
I don't like it. I just like to prefer like it was like in the movie. Gotham didn't need me. It was safe. It just doesn't. It conflicts with the actual movie too, right? Like, it gives you the reason.
In my continuity of this Batman and that's in the Flash, it's that they didn't need him anymore. Gotham was one of the safest cities in the country.
That's why I say like I see a little bit of the Nolan stuff in these movies, because that seems like a little bit between Dark Knight and Rises. They took that part out. And the stitching, like those are the Nolan elements I see. Like they're like, well, we can't use Bale, so we'll just take this.
So you sent me this video and wanted me to check it out.
Hi,
Dude
Top
making
Alex.
a guy making an argument that the Batman should be the first film of the new DCU.
Mhm.
And so I reacted to the title. And I was like, hell no. And then I watched it. Very well done.
He makes some very good videos.
Very well done.
Hi, Top Alex.
Very well done. But I still say hell no.
Yeah, it just I just he creates videos that makes me think, even though I don't agree with the end result, and that's
That's what I
good
was gonna
content
ask
for
you.
me. You know, like it just like I get what you're doing. I like what you're saying. I don't agree with it. You know, and he actually kind of argues with himself within the video. Like this makes total sense, and this is why they shouldn't do it because it's going to ruin everything.
Yeah, there was a bit of that. It's like I agreed with everything he said about Matt Reeves in the Batman universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how great it is, and it's doing some fresh things with a character we've had on film now for over 30 years and all of that. And but I don't want it to become part of the DCU. I don't want that Batman running around with superpowered beings and all that stuff, as I've said.
I just don't really think the people in Warner Brothers know what they're doing when it comes to connecting these superheroes. I think it's for some reason I feel like the mythology is too much for them to handle and they don't know how to get all the pieces aligned. But then I see something like The Conjuring and like, well, how can they make all this stuff connect and make it work? And that's essentially the WB MCU in my eyes. Like that's one big connecting universe. You've got Annabelle popping up, you've got the Nun popping up, you've got the Warrens popping up in all these other movies. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, they're already doing this in one branch of their company and they're pretty much excelling at it, but they can't do it with the superheroes. And I'm just wondering if lore and like just history just weighs them down to the point where, you know, they're trying too hard, you know?
I just don't think this take of Batman works. I think Batman works. And I've said it before, and you can disagree because I know you like a lot of the connected stuff, but I just think solo Batman works better than Batman and Justice League and, you know, Green Lantern and space and all this stuff. And it's and it also, I mean, they did it and it didn't work, but then you can argue that, well, this is another thing I don't really get, you know, well, the execution and this, you know, whatever. But I also like the idea of the Elseworlds thing with DC, and hope Warner Brothers keeps that to where they do this with other characters besides Batman. So I don't need it. I don't need him. I don't need to know that Superman exists somewhere and for me to enjoy watching the Batman or the Batman Part 2. And I don't need.
I just always thought they were there in the back of my head somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing their thing in their own city,
which is a DC thing because DC was very, very segregated by
cities.
Superman in Metropolis and Batman in Gotham City and Flash.
Every
City.
hero, they're basically like police. They have their own like district. They have their own community to protect.
And the comics were, you know, if you read Batman and Detective, that was Batman. You didn't have to, you know, rarely was there coordination between the Batman editing group and the Wonder Woman editing group and the Superman. I mean, and even when they would appear, like in World's Finest, and this is all Mr. Uslan taught me all this, and they had nothing to do with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, what if Batman and Superman in World's Finest really had nothing to do with what was going on in action or Superman or in Batman and Detective? And he even pointed out, you know, while they had Aquaman in DC, there's a Superman story about Superman going to Atlantis, and it was nothing to do with.
But didn't things sort of change like around the 70s, and since then it's kind of been a different story? Like I know at one point they were very disconnected, but they haven't been that
probably
in a
70s,
long time.
70s.
I feel like Julie Schwartz changed a lot of things, starting with Batman, that carried over to other characters.
Probably in the 70s, it became more. Yeah, I would agree.
Like I think Houston's totally right, but everything in Marvel comes from Manhattan.
Yeah,
where the difference is, at least in DC, they're all different cities, and at least from my standpoint, is just like even as a comic book reader, I read the solo titles. It's got to be really you really got to catch my eye or really kind of tease me a little bit to get to me to read a team up book like Justice League. It's got and something like Crisis on Infinite Earths is like, it would have been if I was young enough at the time, the thing to grab me. And because I have a large connection to that story as a child, but, just to clean everything up, like there's a reason why that story was existed, to have like one Batman to one, or, like there's a reason why they do these continuity changes every so often. And that's why they even did the New 52, let's start from the beginning and, we'll start from scratch essentially. But I like the solo titles. I don't read a whole lot of team ups.
Let me ask you,
even like the Brave and the Bold. Like that title is so misleading because it used to be about two heroes teaming up together. Now it's an anthology book that features one good story for $8 and it's a money grab.
Yeah. I ask you this. It's kind of a two-parter.
Go for it.
Would you want the Batman to connect, to be the first DCU movie, and that be in Pattinson and Reeves' Batman move into this Gunn Safran connected DCU?
No.
Okay.
If they did it, would I accept it? I'd have to. It would take some time.
And so the second part is, like the guy pointed out in the video, which spurred this entire conversation because you texted me the link and I watched because you sent it. Is it like a mistake? Are they messing up by not doing that? I say no, they're not. Absolutely not.
I think it's a mistake to have another Batman follow the Batman so fast. That's because I feel like you made the same mistake with BVS.
Yes.
It came out the year after, it came out a few years, but you basically came up with the idea basically after Rises, right? That's when you came up with that idea, and it was just too soon. People are still, and I think The Flash also proves this, Bale is Batman to the majority of the people on this planet. The majority of people who go out and watch this content think of Bale as Batman. I was wrong. I thought it was Keaton. Up until this point, it is Bale.
Yes,
so that's people. Ben Affleck's Batman is going to be forgotten, I think, very quickly by everybody else except fandom. I don't think there was enough time to move on past the trilogy. I really don't. At least when it comes to Batman,
people will, the general audience will accept new Batmans. I think they maybe do not like new Batmans coexisting, that's why I say that they need to, the Brave and the Bold needs to be pushed back until Reeves is done with this trilogy. And that's not too far
and then
off.
some. And then some.
I mean,
like if I was James Gunn, and I'm not, that's why I don't have his amazing job, but I would tease Batman. I would make Batman the thing to build up to in his universe.
Yeah.
I would tease him at the end. I would kind of make him the outsider, maybe like the urban legend. And maybe you just see his silhouette pop up at the end of movies. Maybe he's scouting out all these heroes because he doesn't trust them. But then again, it sounds like BVS all over again. So again, I don't know how to make a movie, but I think you've got to it's got to be a significant amount of time. Like between Batman and Robin and Begins was the right amount of time. I don't know if they have the patience to wait that long.
Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. there the gap between the Batman and Rises was 10 years. So there was a 10-year gap between solo Batman films.
And a bunch of appearances that probably damaged the brand a little bit.
And I would say, and this is no, I'm not, look, I'm a Ben Affleck fan. But I will say, you kind of piggyback off what you said. It's his Batman is a ghost. It's almost a nothing to the general audience. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They were invested in Michael Keaton. They were invested in Bale. They are now invested in Robert Pattinson. And I think the guy in the video made a good point about that. Yes, they are. And that what's going on in the Batman universe.
Solo movies. Yeah.
Ben Affleck's, that version of Batman was just kind of, ghost. It will be forgotten. Except
I think
fans.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that his biggest role is probably BVS.
Yeah.
Nobody turned out for Justice League either version. And BVS is the outlier that stands in everyone's mind. And no one saw the Flash either. So that's how I think the general audience thinks of that Batman.
Yeah, if they wait on this DCU Batman until Nolan till Matt Reeves is finished. I mean, we're probably talking only about like 5 years from now. We have 2025, the Batman will come out. Hopefully we get this strike, settled, but it has a good enough cushion. I don't think it's going to affect the Batman. And let's say he does the Batman Part 3 in 28. So that's 5 years. I mean, that's not all that long of a time. And then you wait a little while, couple, 2 or 3 years.
When do you see the Batman? 2030, the Brave and the Bold, 2033?
Probably, if it was me, probably, yeah. I do.
If it was me, I'd go 35. I'd go even longer.
I would have at least a 3-year gap. At least. That's minimum.
Because I think if you believe in James Gunn and you think this is going to work, then to be honest, then you've got more than enough heroes to make you all the money in the world that you want.
But I'm
off on Batman.
I don't care if it's a year or 2 years. I am absolutely not putting out the Brave and the Bold until the Batman universe is wrapped up with the Batman Part 3. Period. I'm not. And we shall see. Because like I said, Lauer told me, Gunn said something about this first chapter, this Gods and Monsters, was going to go to 2027. Well, hell, that's only 4 years. I'm not seeing how they're going to cram all that in just this short amount of time.
And I don't know, maybe, to be honest, if Reeves' Batman movies are as successful, maybe he doesn't end it at 3. What if he doesn't? What if he's got 4 movies in his head?
Well,
what if Reeves is a little bit different than Nolan and has a few more stories? What do you do?
That's true. I'm not going to tell him.
Batman 3 makes Batman 2 and 3 back to back, billion each, Rises style, and Reeves is like, "Hey, I got an idea for the 4th. What are you going to do as Warner Brothers?"
Yeah. Well, it's a conundrum. It's a good one in a way.
Like we should be so lucky.
Yeah,
we should, because the audience just basically told you we've picked our Batman, and it's Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I just think he's trying to cram a lot in this short amount of time.
He's got a lot of pressure on him. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but it just seems like everything they're doing is 10
last thing. This will be, I didn't have this on the agenda, but I just thought it kind of runs into this. I did listen to your BOF podcast with the Superman Legacy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to agree. I'm in more in your camp. I just wish it was for me, I wish Superman Legacy I wanted it to be just a Superman film.
Yeah, I think that's how you should start it off.
And it may be a very Superman film, but still, I'm not seeing the point of a Green Lantern and Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific and other characters in it.
Yeah, I've said this before. I wish there were more Superman characters cast already. I'm getting a little nervous. Like, are we even going to see is this going to be more like kind of what we got with Snyder? We're going to be just dominated by Superman, not really get a whole lot of Clark Kent. Because after Man of Steel, like Clark Kent's basically useless in those movies. It's all Superman. So like, I'm wondering how much Superman this really is. What's the balance between Clark and Kal-El, and we still don't know too much, but like I just basically everything that's been announced outside of the main two characters of Superman and Lois, nothing excites me. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't.
I just think if it was, and Gunn said, well, they were in it because they help. They're part of the story. They help with the storyline. I would just say if you're just going to say, okay, we're not going to really worry about this shared universe right now. Let's just focus getting Superman back on track and making the Superman movie. You wouldn't need all these other DC characters,
The priority is building the universe. That's the priority. The priority is not making a Superman movie. The priority is building the DC universe. And I think that may be the mentality I have to take going forward. Like maybe these aren't going to be as solo titles as I want. They will be more Marvelized and connected, and you're going to have like random characters pop up for no particular reason other than to let you know that they're out there somewhere. And,
well, I agree.
That's just how I feel.
I agree that it's more about setting up a shared universe and setting up these characters for future projects. That's first, and then Superman is second.
Yeah,
whatever. We'll find out.
Even though and everyone wanted this, everyone wanted Gunn to be so transparent and open, but I don't think he's necessarily being as transparent and open with you guys. Like him telling you that Mr. Terrific is in there because of the movie has nothing to do with the planned Terrifics movie. Like the Authority being in the Superman movie has nothing to do with the planned Authority movie. They already announced that these characters have movies coming out. I know that. That's what I'm saying. Like he's not. Do you want? It's like, well, Hamada didn't tell us anything. It was like, well, Gunn tells us things, but half of them are not really true. And it's like, well, what do you want? I don't know. Like,
yeah. All right.
Sausage is made. We know too much about.
I'm with you. All right. Let's get the hell out of here. Plug whatever you like.
You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Mastodon, whatever else anybody has come up with. And of course, Zack Snyder's favorite platform, Verra at Pete Illustrated. You can follow my news-based podcast that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Holzman, straight to Gotham at straight_O_G on Instagram and Twitter. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. I also have a Spider-Man themed podcast, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition. That's at Italians for Spidey on Twitter and nowhere else. Let's see. I'm on BatmanandPhil.com. I have a new review of Detective Comics Night Terrors up on the website. I know you all are dying to read that shit. And I'm all over Batman on Film YouTube because I got toy reviews. And we've talked about Mr. Uslan, I've got a bunch of clips with Mr. Uslan, so check those out. They're really great. He's always a fascinating man to listen to. Mr. Uslan is like my uncle. Like, I've heard these stories for years, but every time he speaks, it's like the first time. So It's always great to listen to him talk. You could just, like Neil Adams was like that. I could just listen to him talk all day about nothing, and it's still information. So that's great. Me and Bill and Hoss are going to do a special Hush podcast.
A Hoss podcast.
A Shush. We'll do a Shush. We'll do the Shush. For the new character for the 20th anniversary and find out what Bill's big beef is. But that's it. We got a lot of stuff planned over at the BOF podcast, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And I'm gonna let Bill just take.
Let's say that you're kind of the steward at this point of the original Batman on Film podcast. So.
Yeah, I just got a bunch of ideas.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you'll have all the, all of Team BOF, I'm sure will show up on it at some point or another soon. All right. See, for me, just go to Batman on Film, Batman-on-film.com. I will plug the threads if you want to follow me on threads or follow. It says it's me and Team BOF. It's threads. Go to threads. Look for at the Batman on Film, at the Batman on Film. And if you're going to buy us a beer, when you buy us a beer, it helps keep BOF up and running. Buymeabeer.com/the real Batman on Film. Buymeabeer.com/the real Batman.
What kind of a beer? Is it Michelob Ultra?
Whatever. Let me take that back. It's actually buymeacoffee.com/the real Batman on Film. And then from there, we personalize it as that you're buying us a beer, not a cup of coffee. Okay. I got that right. All right. So with that said, Announcer Rachel will finish up here, and we will catch you next time.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/Batman on Film, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/The Real Batman on Film. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm Announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.